All right, we'd like to welcome our viewers back to another episode of the Living Level. Why do you always drop your head when I do that?
Just listen.
And today we're at Magnolia Lodge, just outside of Ragley over here. We've got a special guest with us today, Brother Jim Golden. He's been keeping up with all our episodes and commenting on all of them, so we figured it was time to sit down and talk with him. So without further ado, I'll just let him tell you a little bit about himself, and we'll see where the conversation goes. Brother Jim, you want to tell the viewers what you do for a living, a little bit of background on you?
I work for DOTD. I'm a traffic signal electrician.
Okay.
And our district covers 5 parishes. So we actually, time to time, work on the signals up in y'all's neck of the woods.
Yeah. Managed to find your way back out.
We leave a trail of wreck runs,
Yeah.
but we usually don't have to. But I was born and raised in Houston, and I've lived in Louisiana since 2001. I moved over here in September 2000. My Sonic background, I was raised a Master Mason in May of 2003. So it's over 22 years in Mason. I was raised in a Masonic household, which you're familiar. I don't know how far back. I know for sure my grandfather belonged to a lodge in Texas. My dad belonged to a lodge in Houston. And growing up in the Masonic household, I was familiar with some of the proprieties.
Yeah.
I knew you had to ask one to be.
Mm-hmm.
But back in the day, it was a lot more different than it is now. Showing our emblems, our cars, and things like that is more prevalent now. But,
Yeah.
about all you got from the older generation, if they wore a ring,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a belt buckle, but that was about it. And growing up, my dad was in York Rite, Scottish Rite, and he would get the newsletters and
Yeah.
the little periodicals would come to the house. And I'd thumb through them as a kid, mainly looking at the pictures, but I really didn't know all the titles. But looking at the regalia, the pictures. And growing up, I asked him a few times, just, what is it about? He always had the same answer. Same generic answer. His only response, good bunch of guys. I said, yeah, but what's it about? What do you do?
Yeah.
Good bunch of guys. So, but my dad was in York Rite, Scottish Rite. Both my parents were an Eastern Star. My sister was a Rainbow Girl. So there was a lot of masonry in the household. So it was pretty commonplace. And but knowing that I had to know one to be one, moving over from Texas kind of put me in a little bit of a bind. And it was by happenstance it happened. My brother-in-law was a member of the hunting club in Longview. And one of his friends that was on the same club, at the same camp, I know you know for sure, it's Harry Norton.
Yep. Yeah.
Brother Harry.
Brother Harry.
And one weekend, it was toward the tail end of the season. One weekend, Brother Harry happened to be wearing a ring. The topic never came up in any conversations we had, but he happened to be wearing a ring. And I had been contemplating it for some time. And I finally I said, well, I see you're a Mason. Yep. I said, you think you could give me a petition? He said, well, let me go check in my truck. And he went to go to his truck. He said, no, I don't have it. He said, you can be here next weekend. And I wasn't even a member of the club yet. I was a guest of my brother. And I said, well, I don't know. It depends on if Mark invites me here. We'll see. And he said, okay, well, I'll have one. Well, the following weekend, he did invite me. Harry happened to be there. And he said, "Did you have to bring it?" I said, "I sure got it. I got it in the truck." So he went to go get it. I filled it out right there at the camp and gave it to him. And they ended up being initiated in Soul. That was his lodge that Harry belonged to. So I was initiated, passed, and raised in Soul Lodge. And I was initiated in February. And received my master's degree in May 19th, 2003. And so that went on for quite a few years to the soccer lodge. And also in 2005, I became a plural member of Charles 165, which is the oldest lodge in our district. It has a lot of history. And so I was a plural member of 165. And I used to work in Seoul. So going to work and being able to go to the meetings and all those guys, it worked out. But then my job changed. So it was a lot of logistics going back and forth in Lake Charles. And my father-in-law was actually a member of this lodge. So there was a family history, my wife's family. So I decided to go ahead and transfer my membership to Magnolia. So, and that's what brought me to Magnolia. And I used to come up here and visit Magnolia. This one particular weekend, we were at the camp. Harry called me. Or we went to the camp. Harry called me and he said, "Bring a change of clothes." Okay, he didn't tell me why. Okay. So I got to the camp. I got to talk. I said, "Why? I have to bring a change of clothes." He said, "We're going to Magnolia." I go, "We're going to Magnolia. He said, "Well, we're going to eat." So we went to Magnolia and ate bird on spread. And we had some homemade fudge, little Thibodeau's, Tip-Calm, and we had a really good time. But I always enjoyed visiting Magnolia. I got to know a lot of the guys on Sonic travels together, and it really felt right. It felt good coming to this lodge, and that was in the old. That's all that there was at that time. It's the old building. And going to meetings in that lodge was an adventure in itself if you had the opportunity to go to the old lodge. Because there was good food, fellowship, a lot of red walls up in that lodge. those things would find their way in there. And everybody would be sitting there in the lodge during the meeting. Swap out with them and have their hats sitting next to them and swap it out. And so it was always fun. And so that's what brought me back. But when I joined Masonry, it was a pretty significant thing that happened when I was investigating. The investigating committee came to the house. The three brothers that came to Sullivan came to the house, and we had a storm that day. It was raining cats and dogs, and I'd gotten a call a day or two before. And I said, "We'll be there at 7:00." And then it came time for the day of the meeting. There's no way they're going to get out of this weather. I called one. "Y'all still coming?" "Oh yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there at 7:00. Go out in the weather if you don't have to. Well, we'll be there. It was 7:00 on the dot. They pulled into the driveway. But they're serious about this. So they came in and We talked. They asked me what I knew about masonry, why I wanted to be a mason. And one thing that stood out was one of the gentlemen told me, he said, I don't know what delusions of grandeur you may have about masonry. You're going to get out of it exactly what nothing more, nothing less. That really stuck with me. And so I hit the ground running. And I was raised Master Mason in May of 2003. In December 2004, I was appointed junior deacon. And I was junior deacon for 2 meetings. And then senior warden wasn't able to come to the lodge. And I sat in for the senior warden meetings for the rest of the year. And then the election came around again, and they were like, you'd like to go to junior warden, which is the first elected office. Oh no. I said, I tell you what, and I was approached by 2 past masters. I said, I tell you what, I'll do it on one condition. He said, what's that? I said, on degrees, I want to be senior deacon. I said, well, if that's your own condition, you got it. And that's how it was. And so in 2005, I was elected junior warden. 2006, senior warden. In 2007, I was marshal master. And that was a busy year. It was the 60th anniversary of the lodge, but Sulphur Lodge had significant damage from Hurricane Rita. We were out of the building for 22 months. And there was another lodge that sold a decent army, and they offered the use of their building while ours was being repaired. And we got back into the lodge, and our first meeting back in the lodge was May 21st, that's 2007. And that date stands out in me. So that was the birthday of Brother Harry Norton. And his daughter had a big dinner and evening planned for him. He said, I don't have to take a rain check. This is the first meeting back in the building. That's how much masonry meant right here. He said, I'm not going to miss that first meeting. So that was our first meeting back in the building, May 21st, 2007. And then we had the rededication of the building, the Grand Lodge, the Grand Master, and all those officers came in for rededication. That was the year most worked with Bruce Easterman, Grand Master. And that was really an emotional experience to have the lodge to have the Grand Master. I've never seen the past Grand Masters there to see him. And we had a really good year. Really enjoyed that. But in that amount of time, I just got done being master of this lodge for the 3rd consecutive year. This past December. I told the guys, I said, I'm looking back on this. I said, I've been Mason for 21 years, and a third of that time, I've been worshipful master. 3 different lodges. I was master twice for 165, 2009, 2014. And then I was master of this lodge for 22, 23, 24. But I've enjoyed every minute of it. I've enjoyed it. But I got involved with the appendant bodies.
Yeah.
I got involved with Scottish Rite, York Rite, Shriners. And so it's been nonstop over the last 23 years. It's just been absolute nonstop. But I really do enjoy it. And we talk about the wives, how supportive they are, and I wouldn't have been able to do that without the support of my wife. It's been tremendous how she's supported me over the years. And I've had the being appointed to a lot of offices, being elected to a lot of offices. wasn't the titles that what I was elated by or
Yeah.
anything. I was really just honored and humbled that the brethren had enough confidence in me to people were elected me to.
Mm.
And my only intention was try to do the best job and do what I could for our fraternity. And I contacted Brother T, and I had an idea of an episode, Lost Treasure of Freemasonry.
Yeah.
And, there's been a lot of films that have involved Mason.
Yeah.
Man Who Wouldn't Be King is prevalent. National Treasure. I even have the rings up on the phone.
Yeah. It's a good movie.
I really enjoy it.
Sure.
It's a lot of entertainment. And there's some good information in it about Mason. But they talk about the treasure and all that. Since that film came out, and I've been a Mason, I've been asked on a couple of different occasions about being one of Masons. They would ask me, "Where's the treasure?"
Yep.
And my response, well, if there is a treasure, I haven't seen it. I don't know where it's at. I haven't seen it. All it's done is cost me money. I haven't seen anything come out. But over time, I started contemplating that. Well, there is a treasure. And it's hidden in plain sight, really, what we have with this fraternity. The fellowship and the brotherhood, all the work we do with our charities. I mean, that's a priceless treasure. You can't hurt a price on that.
Totally agree.
The joy that it gives you, how we change people's lives. I mean, that's a real treasure. And so when people ask you about a treasure, or they talk about a treasure, I've seen the treasure. I see it every time I go to a meeting. I see the treasure. And that's what it's really all about. And if you think about it, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because they'll say, okay, you're a secret society. Well, no, we're not. We're a society that has secrets.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, you have to have an alternative plan if you have secrets. No. It's like any other fraternity. The only reason we have secrets is identifying a member from a non-member. Every fraternity has that.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we do is based on the Holy Scripture. That's not a secret.
No.
Anybody can open it up and read it. He said, well, the symbols. Well, if you look back in history, the Grand Lodge of England is, 308 years old. It was formed in 1770. Way back when, in the legend of Masonry, we say it dates back to the building of King Solomon's time. It's stonemasons. If you go through history, people ask where the term Freemason comes from. Well, if you go back through history, people couldn't just travel around anywhere they wanted. They had to have special permission to go to places. But the men that had an exemption to they were building all castles and cathedrals and everything throughout Europe and Asia, where as a stonemason, you had a skilled trade.
Mm-hmm.
And you were allowed to travel freely to work on these projects. You had that special permission. So stonemasons turned into Freemasons. And we adopted that. So the vast majority of the population of the world couldn't read or write. So when these men would get together, and they had guilds, which were like unions.
Yeah.
And they would get together and they would have discussions about life's lessons and scriptures and philosophy and everything. They would incorporate into their conversations symbols and tools that they worked with, that they could identify. And it's been incorporated into our everyday vocabulary without us even realizing. When you have a car salesman, we'll give you a square deal.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody has serious they want to discuss, let them. And it tells you how important it is throughout history that Masonry has been there. And especially emphasizing morality, character, having your word as your bond, which today we call contracts.
Yeah.
And in all of its antiquity that's originated throughout the ages, how much it stayed intact. And that tells you something special. We're the oldest fraternity in the entire world. And for being a secret society, to have so many members from so many different cultures and political affiliations and economic stature and education, that we can have that vast number of differences, but we have one common thing in mind, that we come together.
Right.
And we express that to people, that we fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man, and the immortality of the human spirit. And how that has sustained for so many years is just incredible. It really is. And in a sense, it is a double-edged sword. We've been able to sustain that by being exclusive.
Yeah.
If we just openly solicited people, join the Masons, you don't know what you're going to get. People just want to get into it just out of idle curiosity, or they want to have personal gain or something out of it. But for a man to really contemplate it and approach somebody, number one, you've been approached by somebody that has that interest sparked in them. So they have that enthusiasm, zeal, they want to know about it because they want to be a part.
Yeah.
Then you gain assets and not liabilities. And that was brought up several years ago at a Grand Law session. It was a keynote speaker at the Grand Master's Bank of South. You shouldn't concentrate on quantity as much as we do quality. I know we would like to see larger numbers.
Like back in the day, everybody would,
but you have to look at the quality of the man.
which is what we're supposed to do anyway.
Exactly.
But sometimes that probably gets overlooked more than it should.
It does. It does, and I think we do that for the sake that we want to grow our numbers.
Or just keep it open.
Yeah.
I think sometimes that becomes our problem. We're afraid of closing, afraid of shutting down or fading out.
And I know, heard from a lot of people, they go through a small town, they see a lodge, they see a building, doesn't have windows, they wonder what's going on there. Every once in a while, there's a lot of cars. That's all I know. And so it does seem a little bit standoffish on our part, but one thing that is gaining momentum that I really like is how much lodges are getting out in the community and doing things. And best way of soliciting without soliciting is by living by example.
Yep.
If you're out there doing things for your community and your fellow man and working with your charities and all that, see that, then they want to know, what is it about? I don't know about y'all, but I can be out walking around and I can see a man and I can tell they're a Mason. I can just tell they're a Mason.
My wife says I can sniff them out.
Yeah. But you can. It is something that there's a certain quality about it.
Right.
About his character. And you could strike up a conversation. You never met him before in your life. And you start talking, and then all of a sudden they notice your ring or something, and you're a brother. You'll be, well then no. And then you start talking, and And first, what lodge you belong to?
Oh yeah.
You know. And but it is something that you can just and I know they said, well, there's small leaders and all this. Okay, they happen to be world leaders. There's a lot of janitors that are Masons, ditch diggers, doctors, lawyers, teachers, all walks. And if you get to know the man, get beyond just that little facade, really talk to the man.
Yeah.
And then if you do join, get involved, and you can see that it's more and more common among the members. It's something that we share. And it's a special thing. That's our treasure.
Yeah. That's kind of what I like doing this podcast. That's why I like to let the person tell a little bit about themselves, a little bit of background, so the people out there can see that it isn't just world leaders and lawyers and surgeons and all, it ain't just wealthy people. We've interviewed, we work for the sheriff's office, for sheriff deputy. We've interviewed construction workers, plant workers, nurses, teachers, it's all walks of life.
Yeah, I tell you what, I've had the opportunity of meeting some really, really good men from all over the world. I've been blessed with that opportunity. I became potentate of the Shriners, and we had an international convention, and I've been to it, and I got to meet men from Puerto Rico, Mexico, and the Philippines, Canada, every state in the union, and just even though we had a little bit of a language barrier, we were still brothers, and I've known guys that have worked overseas, worked over in the Middle East, and they had the opportunity to visit lodges there. And the three primary religions that we do have is Judaism, Christianity, and Muslim. Because all three of those religions believe they have to believe in one supreme God. And one thing that those three religions agree upon is the scriptures of the Old Testament. So we may be of a different faith, but we agree on that. So it crosses that barrier. Definitely come from different cultures, but it crosses that. Being a brother crosses that barrier, different culture. And what we learn in the lodge is the same thing they learn. So we have that common interest. And so that breaks down all those barriers. That's why we don't discuss specific religion in the lodge. We don't discuss politics in the lodge. Because those are things that separate us. Man's own individual beliefs, his own personal relationship with God. But we agree we both believe in God. And we restrict our conversations and discussions to what we all agree on. That's what we concentrate. The differences, the similarities that we concentrate. It's what really holds us together. It's really unique to think about how vast we are, how much we're spread out over the world, how much of an influence we've had on our societies, on our civilizations, on our communities. It carries a lot of responsibility. So that urges me to try to be the best person I can every day. try to finish my day with meditation and prayer. Thank you for letting me have this day. I hope I was a better man today than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
When I wake up in the morning and start, help me be a better man today than I was yesterday. That's where the striving is to always try to improve yourself, to better yourself. We have the motto, we make good men better men. I think what we do is we give the tools, we give the opportunities, and we give the support for a man to better himself.
Yeah.
I can't make somebody be good. That's their choice.
Mm-hmm.
I can't make somebody learn. But if I can give them that spark that they want, and I can help them, that's what they're still having you on your journey. So everybody's going through a different journey. It's your own individual, what you deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
With your career, with your family. You can't live each other's lives, but we can help each other in their own lives. We can do that, then we've done a good job.
Yes, sir.
Well, Jim, do you believe that Masonry, in a sense, has a challenge to faith?
Well, I think as men, we all face challenges. So I think respectively, as an organization, a fraternity, then I would say yes, we have a challenge. One challenge that we do have is we live in an age of information. Information is so accessible. False information is so accessible. Yeah, it's easy to get. There's good information, there's also facts. To discern that is sometimes kind of difficult. Sometimes the mind gets a little blurred. And that's when you have to rely on your faith. But there are several podcasts out. There's a gentleman with the Scottish Rite that's based out of the House of Temple. He works at the House of Temple, and his name escapes me. He has a really good podcast. And so the information is out.
Yeah.
It's good information. If you can, communication between the brethren, hey, I checked this out. You may want to stay away from there.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll check this out. Might want to check it out and see. One of our well-informed brethren, I don't even have to mention his name, but what I'm going to say, he's very prevalent in the state. And there's been at the House of the Temple, which is the headquarters for the Scottish Rite, Southern jurisdiction, they have a library. There's over 1 million books in that library. And you can read a book a day, and you wouldn't be able to read all books in 20 lifetimes.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to do it. So for somebody to say they know all there is to know about Masonry is a total lie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a journey that never ends. But you just have to trust in your faith.
Yeah.
And rely on your brethren to help you on your journey, to get the right information that helps fit better you. So challenges, yes, we do have challenges. A lot of the ways that we do things in some of the lodges, pretty antiquated. We're getting younger brothers in here that are really tech savvy. We got to be willing to listen to do things more efficient. Just our day-to-day operations. There's Paul's a better way to school than
Oh, yeah.
that. We've moved from snail mail to email, phone calls and text messages. And you have to keep along with the times.
Yeah.
You have to. You're going to be left behind if you don't. And if we're going to get new members, younger men, we have to be able to accommodate them to keep their interest peaked. Because if we're not doing our job, then they're not going to be happy with it, and they're going to move on. So we have to be able to accommodate them and to speak their language.
Yeah.
In a way, you know. But we have to also, it's a fine line, because we have to do that and also maintain our sense of tradition.
Yeah.
We have to keep that intact too, because that's what has sustained us for 300 years. It's our respect for tradition. So, move forward, yes, cautiously.
Yeah. I would agree.
How, talking about the younger generation, those that are tech savvy, so to speak, definitely not like probably all of us sitting here and James Brown, who lives in the intergalactic world, he says.
Yeah.
How do you figure, or, you know, what's your thoughts on how you would encourage people like that were on the fence of joining the lodge?
It goes back to living by example, really. The man that approached you, you projected some image to you that piqued his interest in wanting to ask more questions. There's something that individual saw in you that he wanted part of that also. And the best way to be successful is to do what's successful for you. So if you are willing to listen to that young man, also guide him that agree with you, yes, we need to take this route. We still have to maintain. So it's kind of a give and take. It's kind of a balancing act. We can move forward, but again, we have to move forward cautiously. But sometimes it gets lost in translation between the generations.
Right.
You know, it's but the best way to get over that is by listening to the other person, hearing what they really have to say, taking it into account, and really contemplate on it, and seeing people come to mutual understanding.
Now, we're still talking about the younger generations or tech generation, because Masonry is such an old fraternity. When guys like that join, how do you think, or what do you think would be the best way to keep those guys? You know, because sometimes you'll get those that'll get their EA, they may not ever come back.
You have to keep them involved.
Right.
You have to keep their interest peaked, because one thing that's changed throughout the generations is that we have so many other responsibilities, and we have so many other distractions.
Mm.
You know, if you can roll back the clock 40, 50 years ago, man went to work, he went to church, went to lodge. That's it. We have so many other things that we have to juggle. We have the vast majority of homes, both parents are working. It's very, very rare. If you have kids, there are so many different activities that the kids are involved. Scout, sports, school activities, choir, gymnastics.
Yeah.
I mean, the list goes on, and you have to juggle your time. Because that's the one thing that we emphasize to every man that comes into the lodge. This is not supposed to take precedence over everything else. Number one responsibility is to your family, to your vocation, to support your family. And then after that comes the fellowship.
Mm.
But we're here for you. I mean, we've had guys, working with work schedules nowadays. Guys get in on turnarounds, and we may not see you for 6 months.
Yeah.
But you got to stay in contact with them. You got to let them know, hey, brother, how you doing?
Mm.
Just want to make sure everything's all right. Need anything? If out of the blue somebody just stops coming to the lodge, contact them. Hey, what's going on? Do you have a problem with something? Do you have a problem with the lodge? Did somebody say something that upset you?
Mm-hmm.
You have to maintain that line of communication and work with that. Well, I didn't like the way they were doing that. Okay, well, you have a legitimate concern, but and then take it from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many different distractions and responsibilities that people have nowadays. You have to keep their interest peaked so they can stay up on their list of priorities. And I would never expect a man to make masonry or the lodge his number one. That's not what it is. He has to look after his family. And if he has to work, he has to work.
Yeah.
So, but just let him know you're there for him. If he needs anything, make sure everything's okay. Because our brotherhood is like any other relationship. You have to maintain communication. You have to keep that line of communication. But get them involved in the lodge. I know Sam Todd does so many different activities with community and fundraisers and everything else. There's more than enough work for members of the lodge. It's like us rebuilding our dining. This is a daunting task. One person can't do it by themselves. It relies on all of us coming together as a lodge to make this happen. But it's the same on the district level. It's the same on the Grand Lodge level. Everyone has to work together. And keep interest in people. Have activities in your lodge, like Masonic education. Don't just limit your meetings to just going through last month's minutes and old business, new business. Okay, let's go. Have some fellowship, and have something that everyone can benefit from, that can grow. Some Masonic education, and doing things for honoring your past masters, widows. Unfortunately, we're guilty of that. We don't look after our widows like we should. When brother passes away, a lot of times the wife's forgotten. And we have to look after her, because we promised to do that. To look after the brother's family. Look after the children. Look after their spouse. If they need anything, not only should we help, but we're supposed to help.
Right.
Without question. And that's something that we promised to do. And we need to fulfill that. And so there's a lot of activities for young guys to do. We just have to give them the opportunity to do it. Inform them about what they can do.
Because we're probably bad. So I'll take care of it. Or I got it.
Oh, definitely. I've said it myself, and I've heard it, there's a lot of guys just sitting there, just waiting to be asked,
Right.
you know, and they may not be too keen on, because they don't want to step on somebody else's toes, potentially, Well, I'll do that. Well, that's been Brother Bob's job for the last 30 years. Well, I'll help Brother Bob if he needs help. I'll be happy to help him.
Right.
But if they're kind of shy about asking, just approach them, talk to them. You want to do something? Find something for you to do. There's no shortage of things to be done, and that keeps their enthusiasm.
Right.
And it makes them want to do more. And I know a lot of lodges, unfortunately, because of their membership or participation, that guys are rushing around. A lot of responsibilities very quickly. And sometimes it's out of bare necessity that you have to do that, but those are ones that we have to pay special attention to help. Day-to-day workings of the lodge, they're not familiar with. They don't know where to start, what to do, and that's where we're supposed to give them a guiding hand and help them to do it. But one thing that I really love about Masonry is, and it's one thing that sounds spooky, people, especially that aren't Masonry. I think it's one thing that conspiracies is ritual.
Yeah.
The word ritual.
Yeah.
That has a real magical, mystical. And if you look at the definition of ritual, ritual is a ceremony that is done in a specific way and in a specific order. Well, a wedding ceremony is a ritual. A baptism is a ritual. Confirmation is a ritual. So
waking up every morning, brushing your teeth,
going to work it's a
ritual.
It is a ritual. Exactly, it is. And we do things. We do ceremonies.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that it does is it gives the individual going through that feeling of being special. It's a special time. It's a special moment for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the purpose of the ceremony. This is your night.
Yeah.
This is for you. And I'm intrigued by ritual. I love ritual. I love Masonic ritual.
Mm-hmm.
And it's simple things, and it's not things that we do behind a closed door. It's like when we have open installation of officers and we have family and friends there, these guys to be installed in their office. But that's ritual. We have a script that we go by. We explain to them what their duties are, what their obligations are to their office and everything. And then we bestow them with the jewel of their office. But that's a ritual.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing secret about it. We had their family and friends here to see it done. So,
Right.
I mean, but it's still a ritual. And it implores you to try to do a good job doing it.
Yeah.
Because it's a special night for them. Guy sitting in the east, that's a whole different view from anywhere else in the lodge. It's a tremendous amount of responsibility that he is, all this is just thrust upon. And they think, okay, put a jewel around his neck, put a hat on his head, okay, go with it, it's your job. No, he needs as much help as he can. Because especially someone that's never done it before. And he may have trouble just speaking in front of a group of people. I know that y'all seen many of those over the years. I know I have. I used to be one of them. That's one thing that Masonry helped me, was just speaking in front of people. Now I don't have a problem. I've spoken in front of groups of people. I can see the eyes roll off. Here he goes again. How are we going to get him to stop? Used to not be able to get him to start. But that was a big problem that I had, was just speaking in front of people. So that helped. That helps you with your job in a lot of cases too, being able to do that. And if you get into a position of responsibility and authority at your workplace, it helps you relate to people that are subordinate to you, and treat everyone fairly, willing to listen to everyone. You grow really thick skin because you're never going to please everyone. How hard you try, you're not going to be able to please everyone. But you try to make your decisions based on what's good for everyone. And so the ritual side of it is very important. I do love that part. And it goes back to the tradition and the antiquity of it, how far back and how little this has changed over the centuries.
Yeah.
Much of it has stayed intact. And for me, that makes me want to do as much as I can individually to preserve it and to keep its integrity and to try to do the best job I can do. Because that man on that painting back there, when he went through his degree, he did it the exact same way that we do it now in 2025. That has not changed.
That was the exact thing that was said to me tonight that I was getting my EA degree. Of course, you don't know what to expect.
Right.
Never been through nothing. Nervous, sweating. They're preparing me for what's about to happen. A buddy of mine, Cecil Clayton, was there. And he put his hand on my shoulder. He said, just remember, brother, everybody in this room went through what you're about to go through. He said, and every man that was a Mason, all the way back to George Washington, went through the exact same you're about to go through. He said, just calm down. Everything's going to be all right. And then you just pointed to the painting of George Washington that said basically the same thing. I was like,
Y'all had some
good.
nice guys at y'all did.
Yeah.
Mine told me if I heard the word run, just go.
Yeah.
It wasn't all of that. No, I think if you look at how many lodges have portrait of George Washington, and when I look at it, that's what I see. Not that the first president of the United States was Grand Master. I don't see it as that. I see this as a brother Mason that, from the forming of this country, did the exact same thing that I've done.
Yeah.
If we were able to bring him to the presence and sit down and have a discussion, we would have no problem at all discussing Masonry with George Washington, because it has changed so little. He would be just as comfortable sitting in the lodge today as he would back in the 1700s. So that tells you something about this fraternity. Is how much it has been held intact. And some of those rituals and traditions we have, they seem antiquated, but it's what has preserved. And that's something that that's why I say, yes, we can change to accommodate it. We have to do it very cautiously. And hopefully that we attract men that have that sense in them. They're not so hung up on technology and everything.
Yeah.
They do have that appreciation. Those are the men that we want to have. And by us setting the best example that we can on our day-to-day life, we're going to attract those men to us, and they're going to say, what is this about? I want to know. I want to be part of this. Those are the men that we need. That's what's going to keep us going. And hopefully 300 years from now, there can be some type of podcast or transmission going out. They can have a discussion around the table and be saying the same thing as we're saying right now. Hopefully, we'll still be intact.
Yeah.
I hope we are.
Yeah, I'd like to think so too. Believe
I won't be here to see it.
No.
If we keep going the way we are going, as difficult as it may seem to be sometimes, or seem to be, then we will.
Yeah.
We'll be here for easily another 300. Masonry has had a rough trip throughout history. Masons have been persecuted many times.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a lot of other groups have been mistreated in their group lives. And we need to remember that too. Dark times.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to forget history. You just don't want to repeat it necessarily.
Well,
Right.
if you forget it, you're pretty much doomed to repeat it.
Exactly. I found the treasure.
Yes,
Did you find the treasure?
sir.
So, I think that's really special to share that.
Yeah.
And
You never heard it put that way.
Yeah.
well, it's something that I contemplated on a while because I kind of just brushed it off. Oh yeah, there's treasure. Sure, there's treasure. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I have seen it. Experienced that treasure all the time. I have fellowship. It just proves to me every time how special this fraternity is.
Good. Well, we're hitting close to that hour mark, so
Okay.
anybody have anything else they want to add?
Well, I hope to invite y'all back so y'all can be here and we can maybe do a podcast from our new dining hall.
Yeah, we can make that
That
happen.
would be great.
We can make that happen.
To see.
You never know, we're liable to show up during the building up.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And on that note, I want to tell you, we had to, that was a sad day. We had to raise the old building. And we had brothers come from other lodges to help us, because I mean, that was really,
What had happened to the building?
the roof had gotten torn off in Hurricane War.
Yeah.
And Hurricane Delta came by. We had a tarp on it and all that. We couldn't keep a tarp on it.
Yeah.
With way storms all around here, and Delta was pretty much finished the job that War started. And the whole interior just got wrecked.
Yeah.
I mean, and unfortunately, because of the age of the building, we weren't able to get insurance on the old. We had insurance on this building,
Yeah.
but not on the old one. And it was going to cost too much to bring everything up to code. It was going to be rebuilding it anyway.
Yeah.
So, and not having the insurance on it, then it's just been there. It's just been a job for ourselves to try to raise money. And I tell you what, the brethren have really done a tremendous job, and also our sisters with the Eastern Star on fundraising for it. Magnolia Star chapter made a cookbook. They sold a ton of cookbooks and gave the proceeds to the lodge, to the dining hall. And we've had donations from lodges in our district, tremendous donations. And we're getting there. The cost of materials is unreal.
And it just keeps going up.
It is. And, but we're getting there, and we're gonna make it happen. I was 2 years ago, I was hoping that we would get.
Yeah.
And a year ago, I was hoping we would get. hope this coming year we're going to be able to make it happen.
Yeah.
There was a shadow box plaque at the top of the staircase in the lodge. It had a narrow, steep staircase, going from the first to the second. At the top of the stairs was a shadow box plaque, and it had some uniform square ends. It said Brotherhood, Fellowship, and Square Nails hold Magnolia Lodge together.
Wow.
And men that built this lodge, all lumber was cut on site. They built it on site. Those were some men. It's 132, 133 years ago. And just hand tools. No electricity. And that itself is a testimony to the brother.
Yeah.
It was well. It took a major hurricane to do damage to it that again. They had to several years ago, long before I joined Masonry, they had to put on siding. People would come by, they pull the square heads out, those elaborate boards, you know. They wanted a souvenir. And the structure of it was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And 40, 50 years ago, I've heard about it from ladies with the Eastern Star. They remember, their dads remembered that lodge. And they were downstairs in the dining hall. They had a potbelly stove that they had to keep stoked
Mm-hmm.
to get heat upstairs for them to have their meat. I mean, that's a lot of history.
Yeah.
A lot of history with this lodge. The community was very upset. Posts that we saw on Facebook, because it was just it was a mainstay that people drove by here.
Like
a lot of times here, yeah. And have to have it come down was really heartbreaking. And one thing we've done as a fundraiser, the original chairs that we had in the lodge, that were the old straight back chairs with rawhide. That was a difficult decision for the lodge to make, but we did that as a fundraiser for to sell the chairs, and it's posted on the Grand Lodge website. They have it listed on their electronic newsletter for fundraisers going on around the state. And I just saw it during the week, earlier in the week. It's posted on there about the fundraiser for $300 a piece for anyone that wants a piece of history in Louisiana Nation. This provides that opportunity. We thought about doing that. I got online and I started checking sold antique chairs, things that were similar to that. And I saw prices for $600-800 for those old chairs. So $300 I think is a very good deal. And by selling all of the chairs would put us over that goal that we can get our.
That's how many you have left?
Yeah, we have around 20, mid-20s left.
Yeah.
And so if we were able to sell those, that would help us get over that barrier so that we can finally get things happening.
You said the information for it's on the Grand Lodge website? The
information is on the Grand Lodge website. And my contact information is also on there. They want to contact me. And we can make arrangements so they can come by and pick up a chair. Anywhere in the state, more than happy to welcome them here. They can pick up the chair. Hope we can make that.
Well, if anybody out there watching this feels compelled, get on Grand Lodge website, look up the fundraiser, and you'll see all the information on there. We've got one of those chairs at Sam Todd that we got for him, and they're nice chairs. The cowhide seat. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, Papa had them in the sawmill around the dining table, and old cowhide straight back chairs.
It's a piece of history.
Yeah, and
It is.
this lodge hall here, one of the prettiest ones I've ever seen.
They did a
All
beautiful
the
job.
boards.
They really did. They did a really beautiful job. So it was a lot of hard work to put this building. They finished this building in 2009,
Yeah.
and they had a dedication from the Grand Lodge Board that was completed. And I think when we get done with the new dining hall and it ties everything together, we can say Magnolia's slowly back at
Yeah.
But we don't have plans of going anywhere. Old Magnolia Lodge will still be around.
That's good to know. Good to know. And I'll try to get some pictures for everybody before we leave and put them on the end of the video so you can see the rest of this lodge other than what the little camera sees behind Brother Jim there. Well, I've enjoyed it.
Well,
I have to thank y'all for coming by.
Yes, sir.
It's been a pleasure.
thank you for agreeing to it, but
I was extremely humbled and honored to get an invite to do this. I've been looking forward to it all week.
Well, I'm looking forward to come back and doing another one when the dining hall gets.
Fantastic. We'll see you.
Well, with all that being said, we want to appreciate y'all watching again. Thanks for all the love and support that you've been showing us. And leave some comments on the video. If there's some questions you've been dying to ask some fellow Masons or myself or T or whoever, leave them in the comments. Sometimes we have a hard time coming up with questions. But anyway, thanks again for viewing. And before I leave, I got to ask you to smack that bell, click the subscribe button. Oh, I did it backwards. Smack the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, whack that little bell. Until next time, we'll see you on the living level.